All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the Inner Circle Live Pre-New York session. I'm your host for this morning's session, Benny Allen, and I'm definitely happy and grateful for all of you being here with me this morning as we look to close out the week, checking out the technicals and the fundamentals to see what we could take advantage of on this Friday and for the upcoming week ahead. So without further ado, let's make sure that we turn off any and all distractions, grab a pen and paper, take lots of notes, and let's make sure that we participate and engage. If you all can hear me loud and clear, do me a favor, let me know that you're ready to go. Drop me a 1 in the chat and we can get this session started. All right, I see the ones coming in. All right, Joy, Benny, Carolyn. All right, good morning. So let's dive right into what's going on fundamentally today. Fairly light, right? Friday the 20th, almost through October already. This year is going fast. Big thing today for the UK, we've got the retail sales number came in this forecast. So it's expected at negative 0.3%. It came through at negative 0.9. So we put some notes in the Discord on that one. But that kind of falls into a lot with some of the setups that we've been looking at on the pound that we had marked up from last week's ritual. Then we've got today at 8:30, we've got core retail sales. And then again, to close out a busy Fed speak week, we've got FOMC member Harker speaking today. So that's that on a Friday, fairly light. If we go over to trading economics, you can see here, that's the main story of the day. UK retail sales fall more than anticipated. Japan inflation rate, right? Lowest in a year. Okay, so we'll continue to watch how that plays out with the yen as we've got that dollar yen still hovering around that 150 level. It's like almost everybody's scared to take a chance to push that price higher, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. That's pretty much it. Is pretty light on a Friday. So let's move over and take a look at the DXY, and we can see, right, we'll come down to the 4, and we see that it's still, just ranging, right? Still just ranging. Overall, I'm still bullish, on the US dollar for the most part. But right now it's got to figure itself out. So we shall see how that goes. Any questions on the DXY? Good morning, Jeremy. No? Okay. All right. So that's that. So let's jump into and look at some pairs. I've actually got some new setups that I want to take a look at as we close out the week. But let's start at the top. Is it making higher highs and higher lows? It's just kind of ranging right now, Carolyn, right? Kind of getting whipsawed a little bit with the dollar. We saw some movement yesterday when Chairman Powell was speaking. So it's kind of just moving all over the place. It needs to break out and trend in a particular direction. And sometimes it can make it, tough, right? When we're getting whipsawed like that, at least for some of your dollar pairs. But we move down, and then we gotta push up to close out the day. So Friday's gonna be maybe pretty light today. So I don't know how much movement we're gonna get out of it, but we'll see once the market opens. Yeah, good question. All right. So let's take a look. Start at the top. I want to check in on this Aussie CAD because we got the. So here's the 4-hour. Okay, what we were looking at coming out of the weekend. So we know overall the major move on this, right, in the direction has been bearish. Okay, now keep in mind we've got CAD retail sales coming out, which is why I wanted to cover this one. So we've got a pullback to a 786. Our D extension is right here at 85.56. So we've got that pullback, that swing right back to that trend line, and now we're short again. So we got exactly what we were looking for on the 80-20 to the upside. So hopefully some of you were able to take advantage of that coming out of the weekend. So almost stopped us out, but we got the U-turn and we broke trend line. Okay, we broke trend line. So if you were waiting for trend line confirmation, that played out perfect, right? We pushed down and then we reversed. And once we broke that trend line, we moved up. All right, so that's a textbook move right there. That's what we like to see. Does it happen like that all the time? Perfect. Nope. But we love it when we get it. But now you can see once we get to that high price. So this is a prime example when we always say, hey, if you're trading with the trend. So when we identify these 80-20s, if you're saying, hey, I just want to stick with the trend, this is what I mean by you needed to move in this upward direction anyway, so you can get your high price. See, now this price is moving back short, right? So a trend trader, this was your zone, right? That TP2 level, that 61.8, that sweet spot where we've got this red rectangle here, right? Smart trader makes it easy for you. This was your sweet spot, okay? And you're putting your stop above the A, and then you're getting short if you're trading with the trend, right? If you counter trend trading that, then hey, 65 pips to TP1, 88 pips to TP2, okay? And as you get used to things, right, you can play it both ways. Any questions on the Aussie CAD? Good morning, everybody. You should have control of your microphones now. Just getting going. All right, so that's that. And it really, right, the way we're teaching this thing, good morning, Reese. The way we're teaching this thing is really putting a major emphasis on really keeping things simple and understanding that the market really does only move in three ways: up, down, and sideways, right? So it moved up, now it's moving back down, right? We looked at the DXY a minute ago, it's kind of just moving sideways, right? In that sideways range, but that's a play to the downside. So any questions on that Aussie CAD? Good. All right, one more final time. All right, so moving into, want to take a look at this Aussie Swiss. Okay, and then you can start to see, right, when we look at all these pairs, how things just move in a rhythm, right? So 1 week is the New Zealand's, right, taking a pound in, and it's the Swissy that's strong, right? From, acting as a safe haven, when you got that risk off mood in the market, and then also, you compound that with the Swiss National Bank reducing some of their foreign currency reserves, right? Which can lead to strength in the Swiss franc. So if we come and we take a look at this on this daily chart, okay. You don't get any cleaner, right, than these moves here. Okay. Look at that. All right. Clean breaks and retests, right? Levels matter. Levels matter, right? If you were just trading this chart naked, just support and resistance structure, this is beautiful, right? This is one to study here. Okay. Just one to study. Right? Look at how this is moving. Right? Okay. Super clean with the price action. So let's jump out, take a look at where we are. So you guys can see it's starting to form, right, on the 4 hour. Oops. Starting to get it to set up here on the 4. Well, we're about to press into this weekly support at 56.01. Okay. And that's coming in line with our 80-20 zone. Okay. So off the 4, now I drew it up off the 1. But you could look at it from the 4 hour too, whichever you prefer. All right. We've got 382 there on the 4. And all right, we've got our 61.8 level there. But I already drew this one up on the 1 hour. So we're looking at the same thing here. So we zoom in, do we get this reaction back long? Okay. We know there's been a lot of strength for a while in the Swiss franc now. all week for the most part. And so now do we start to settle in? Okay, so this is what we have as we close out the week for a potential setup. Okay, can we get this pushed down into this weekly support? And then we get back moving higher. Okay. So that's a potential setup as we close out the week, moving into next week. Any questions on the Aussie Swiss? No. All right. Okay. So that's that. We'll just go through these real fast. These Aussies. Looking at the Aussie yen, see what we got. So, right, again, beautiful move. Okay, beautiful move. So got both take profits there. Again, if you're, hey, I'm short Aussie, I'm trading with the trend, then you trade it, right? Once you get to this high price into this zone, this red zone here, we know we like to short at the 61.8, 786. So if you're playing with that trend direction, you're saying, I'm looking for a continued bearish move, then you're going to put your stop above this 8 and then you short, right? But coming out of the ritual last week, this was an identified 80-20. We've got 89 at TP1, and then we got the TP2 at 122, right? We had a stop loss of 48 pips. Okay. So if we got the TP2 on that at 122, if you took it to TP2, it's like a 2.5 to 1, right? So you don't get if you're running with the wide stop, right? Now, if you put it below your low, right, prior to your trend line break, then you've got a tighter stop, right? Your risk to reward is a lot larger there. But if you're trading with the wide stop on these 80-20s, then you don't get as high as a risk to reward. But oftentimes you get a higher strike rate. Everybody follow me on that? Drop me a 1 in the chat if you do. So sure we're clear, right? So if you're using those tighter stops, just don't be surprised if your strike rate goes down, and that's okay, right? Because you're aiming for that higher, risk to reward, okay? But if you keep the wider stop, your strike rate is usually a little bit higher because you're just giving yourself more room. Just giving yourself more room. So that all comes down to the trader, and your trading psychology and what you prefer, right? Appreciate it, everybody. So that's that on the Aussie end. We'll see how that continues to bounce around. But as far as the setup that we had identified, that one's done. Let's take a look at the Aussie NZD. Right. This is one that was posted. This one is still running, right? So we may not get that swing. Look how it's just continuing to move. It gave us a little breakdown here off if you would have had a trend line running, but it's just continuing to push. But we know fundamentally that New Zealand, right? That New Zealand has been weak across the board. So when we see that, we may not want to, if you're just limiting in on this setup, right? It is what it is, right? If you got your stop at the 1.618D extension, then you may get that extent, you may get it hit, but that's okay, right? It's all part of the game. We know what our risk is before we take the trade, right? We know what we can lose before we take the trade. But if you're in tune fundamentally and you follow what's going on fundamentally, and you see across the board where no matter what the currency, whatever the base or the counter currency is against New Zealand, the New Zealand is appearing weak, then just over my years of experience, that's when I tend to say, you know what, I may not limit in on this. I may just wait for a little bit of additional confirmation, whether it be a cloud break or a trend line break like we teach, to see if I can get, more confirmation before I take that trade short. So this one is riding a little bit, but it's stalling though, right? It's stalling. So it still could return. You guys know that, you've been with us for a while, that's always a possibility, right? That we push up, we stall for a long time, and then we make that correction back down. So the trend line here, you might have caught a falsie here on your trend line. So let me run them real fast and see. Because I didn't play this just because I missed it. I know it was posted, but I missed it. So I would run it. That's there, right? So knowing me being aggressive, that's a decent line there. But knowing me being aggressive, I probably would have ran it right here, right? And then right up through my high as it traveled, and there's my break right there. So it just changed trajectory. It's still moving up. So if I would have had, so typically I play at the stop loss at the extension. But if I would have had it above the high here playing it tight, then I would have got beat. But they got beat on that one. But this one, being that, hey, we're just turning this on now, hey, I just opened up my computer, I would run it right across, right, these lows right here, because we're kind of moving sideways here. So we're kind of, if you guys look at it, we're kind of in this range where we almost have equal highs, right? That's technically the high. But how we always teach, if you got consolidation, just move it to the outside of consolidation. See how it's ranging a little bit there? So I would just leave it, because this is, when you look at this trend line here running, this right here, if we zoom in, is a low. So if you plug it across that low right there, that wick, okay? Right there. Then your trend line, right? And then because we're in consolidation, I've just adjusted a bit. I would just run it outside. And as long as it keeps running, right? Running higher, then just let it go. But if you get that breakdown, and then here on your 1 hour, and the reason why I'm running it, I moved it outside of it, is because it's looking like this is, we almost got equal lows here too. But you could get a swing low to form here. We don't have it yet, but you definitely have one here. Okay. Just trying to be conservative and make sense of this thing, right? So you've got one there. We've got one here, right? On your 1 hour. See that? So we got some decent horizontal levels coming in. If I move this out here, right, on my one, I'll take that high because we almost have equal highs. You see how that's moving? So now, right, I'm just going to wait to see what's going to happen. But like I said, had I been involved with this one from the post, I probably would have tried to short off that bearish candlestick, right, and that break. And then, like I said, stop at the D extension you're still in is active. You're just in drawdown, but above that high right here, that's a nice bearish candlestick. Stop above the high, then you just got stopped out. Right, and that's the game we play. So, Joy, you said, yeah, I did. Did you take it off that bearish move?
Yeah, I do the aggressive trends, and then if it does not go to my second trend, then I play conservative and then just let it take out or see if it goes.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, the beauty in this is that if you when I was helping my group when I was in IM and using the scanner, I always used to put my stop above the high of the trend line break. So the last swing high prior to the trend line break. So I oftentimes would take that. And it, guys, if you could deal with your psychology and take the lower strike rate, it plays out well, right? You're gonna lose. So you could probably get down around 45%. You might come in at 47%, but your risk to rewards are a lot higher, right? And it plays out over time. So you'll have more stop outs. But when you catch those moves, right? When you catch those moves, I mean, they're huge moves. So if you short off that break there, it's like call it 25 pips. I mean, if that rise to the 382 off of that, you're close to 90 pips, but just because of, my lifestyle now, I mainly oftentimes I'm leaving my stop at the extension and just trading smaller, right? Because we're dividing our risk by a stop loss. So the lot size is going to be a lot smaller, but I can add to the position once it goes in my direction and just accumulate that way. But that's totally up to you guys. You do about 50 pips for the stop loss. Yeah. Okay. I see. So you keep it around. So there's some people too that they play, like, I know that they'll play the strike rate. So there's some people, like you say, you'll do like 50 pips, so almost kind of like a real hard structured stop loss, right, range that you have. There's some people that'll trade, at one particular lot size and just run strike rate. So say they trade at 3 micros, like they may trade at, 3 micros, no matter what that distance is, and they just run off a strike rate because they're using a wider stop. So they're looking at, trying to come in above 50%, 60, 70, 75% on their strike rate. And then they just run it that way with a fixed lot size. Some people do that. So you just have to work the math out. And that's why you have to spend time on the charts and, demo, right? Not just for your setups, but also for your risk management. A lot of people don't think about that. Set you up a couple demo accounts and say, hey, I'm gonna trade this demo account with a tight stop loss, right? With my stop right above that high prior to trend line break. And then I'm gonna run it that way. And then I'm gonna run it with, one demo with my stop at that D extension here, right? I'm gonna run it with that stop at that D extension, and I'm gonna see how it plays out. And then I'm gonna go from there. Everybody follow me on that? Yes, no?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. That can help and that really can help you all out, because sometimes you get caught in between, right? And that really can help you all out with your psychology, right? A lot of times, so you have to kind of be a data geek at this thing. It's like, okay, I identified the setups, but how do I want to run this thing in regards to how I enter and how I manage my risk, and how I manage my risk over time. So you could plug in one demo, you can say, okay, I got an Aussie NZD 80-20 setup. I'm gonna run it, stop above the high in this demo, put it at the extension, my stop at the extension in this demo, and I'm gonna let it run and see how it plays out over time. Do that for, 3 months, 6 months, do it for, or, over a certain amount of trades, 50, 100 trades, and then see what your results are, because then, dress your hand raise, because then what happens is that builds confidence. Then you can start to track everybody, right? How, in regards to how many trades am I losing in a row, right? So if I'm running that tight stop loss, like how many trades am I losing in a row? Is if I'm running over a series of 100 trades, however long I want my data set to be, how, am I losing 5, 6 in a row, right? 10 in a row? Have I ever lost 20 in a row? What's my streak? Well, I know, if I've never lost more than 10 in a row over the period of time, then guess what, everybody? Then I start to have more confidence in upping my risk. Does everybody follow me on that? Because that's very powerful.
Yeah.
Right? Because if I know, like, man, I never lose more than 6 in a row. Well, I know, so if I think I have 100%. And so I know if I trade at 5%, if I lose 20 trades in a row, right? If I lose 20 trades in a row with my methodology, I'm out at 5%. But if I, over time, collect the data and the most I've ever lost in a row is 6 before I go on a winning streak, then I might get away with trading between 3 and 5% per trade. See what I'm saying? Right? But you have to, you can't just, stick your finger in there and go whichever way the direction goes. You have to collect some data. So that's how you safely build confidence in scaling up. Right? And that's why we always say, man, it takes a lot of time, because sometimes, that's why we say sometimes you have to slow down to speed up. Because if you slow down and you do that, you take the time to get your data, then guess what? You eventually speed up because now I'm a more confident trader. Now I'm more comfortable trading with greater risk. So now before I was only trading with a 0.5%, 1% risk, but now I've got confidence in the data to show me that, man, I've only had a losing streak at the most 10, right? So wow, I can up to 3%, 5%. And as long as I stay disciplined in my trading methodology, I should be okay. So guess what? Now I just sped up the rate in which I make my income because I can risk more per trade. Okay? So a lot of people don't think of it like that. Okay? A lot of people don't think of it like that. But that's why, journaling, and it's a lesson that Ryan and I, have learned over time. That's why journaling and things are important. Because what happens is you get on a losing streak, and guess what? I want to switch strategies. That's the first thing people think about instead of just letting it play out. I want to switch strategies, or I want to add an indicator. I want to do this and that. Well, you got to test it out. You got to run your test. You got to collect your data. You have to become a data analyst, right? So that's the Aussie NZD. That's where we are, right? We're getting those. It's struggling a little bit. We'll see what happens when the market opens. But it's come to that 104.43 level a few times. But it's just like, hey, as long as it doesn't hit that D extension, I'm in the game, right? And if you get stopped out running a tighter stop, you don't just walk away from it. You make sure that you note it and you keep your eye on it because you haven't hit that extension yet. So until you hit that extension, it's still in play. So yeah, I got stopped out. Now I'm looking for the next opportunity. We've adjusted our trend line, and then we'll see. So what I would look for, is can I get a trend line break? And if I could take that low out at 108.06, right? Because then we may start to get some downward momentum there. All right. And if you take that low out at 108.06 and you close, you're right back in that original 80-20 setup there. All right. So, and again, if you got that wide stop, then you're just floating right now. All right. So that's the Aussie NZD, the Aussie dollar.
Hey, Benny.
Yes.
I was going to say that
My bad.
a lot
I
of
didn't get back to you.
Oh,
Yep.
no, you're good. I'm working on myself, trying to make sure I ain't interrupting you. So my bad.
Oh, it's all good. I don't mind. I don't mind.
I noticed that a lot of times when I do run a tighter stop, what I do is I put an alarm on it that if I get hit out, because a lot of times it's just nothing but a resistant level and it end up going back down. And I remember back in the day, you say when we're aiming at these fib extensions, kind of do it within a couple of pips down because give the spread
Yep.
and the pip difference of the brokerage account. So
Yep.
what I'll do is I'll set an alarm and then I'll look to see if a swing forms right then and I'll jump back in. Then that way I'm making up what I lost in I forgot how you explained it when you did that risk management one. Basically, compensating my loss and gaining more pips.
Correct. I could dig it. That's a great idea. That's a good nugget there, Joy. When setting that alarm. For sure. You just don't walk away from it. It's still in play. Appreciate you sharing that. Yep. So that's a real good idea, to be honest. I need to pick that up. I started doing the same thing. Yeah, same recently. Yep. That's good. Teamwork makes the dream work. Now, so Aussie dollar, we look at the weekly, right? We're short. We got a retest and we're short overall. Okay. And then if you take a look at the daily, you can see here where we got that push down, we hit that 236, but we're coming right back into that B boundary though. But here we are. So this is the 4-hour look. Okay. And you can see, like, right, look at that there. Look at that break and that retest. Just beautiful price action. Okay. Then we got us another high here on the 4. Right? That's another swing high. See that? So that's a 4-hour resistance if you use those levels, right? There, look at that. That's a 4. And then look, we got another one, another swing high, and it's holding below it. And it's just gradually moving down. But guess what? The market moves in waves, right? It moves in waves. So even though this is overall bearish, right, we could trade these corrections in our sweet spot. So we come out of the weekly ritual. We say, hey, potential double bottom at the 1.18 extension. Right here is 62.85. And you can see it held and it rejected and it moved higher. So we got 83 to TP1, 112, right? So decent week. And again, if you're trading with the trend, come on now, that came right into your sweet spot zone, right at that 61.8. So if I put my stop above the A, trading with the trend, all of it within the same Fibonacci framework, right? So if I got a 61.8 tag there above the high, call it 55 pips, and we move back down to this D extension now, that's 156. You can't beat that, right? You can't beat that. It's like a 3 to 1. All right. If you're trading with the trend to the downside, right? But hey, you may only want to counter trend 80-20s. That's fine, because the TP1, you made 83 pips and 112 to TP2. That is a good week, right? That's a good week in the business. So any questions on the Aussie dollar?
No.
All right. So those worked out pretty good. Now, check out how things are flowing. So we know we saw that we looked at the Aussie Swiss. We know the Aussie Swiss has been fairly strong, right? But we know at some point things start to calm down. So we looked at the Aussie Swiss and we see that it was in an 80-20 position, right? So we'll go back up, check that out real quick for those who joined us late to look at that setup, right? Let's take a look. So you can see how the weekly, okay, we're coming into 56.01, okay, possible double bottom there. We'll see if we get a reaction. That's what we're looking for, is a reaction, okay. We are coming into that zone. We got a daily stochastic into the buy zone. So we took a look at it on the 4. Okay. Aussie Swiss. Okay, that Swissy is the counter currency. Aussie Swissy. We're coming into that weekly level. We want to keep our eye on that. And then if we look at the 1, everybody, this is where we have it drawn up. Okay. So we'll see if we push down into that 56.01 level, see if we can get a reversal to occur. So that's the Aussie Swiss. All right. Now, we'll make sure we get that posted. So if we come down and we take a look at the CAD Swiss, right, you guys can see the rhythm, right, in the market and how things play out. Is not a coincidence. So let's go back up here to the daily and look at what happened, right? So last week we were looking at this, we said, hey, it's a possibility that we stall out here and maybe get a reaction. We didn't get it. Look what it did, everybody. It moved right back down to the bottom of this range that has been playing in for quite some time. Okay. So your eyes have to get big when you see that. Okay. Do we finally break through this range and push down to the extension without hardly any type of correction? Or is it time for the strength of that Swissy to exhaust a little bit and we get a move off the 64.91 level? Right. So we're looking at, hey, do we get this price to reverse now? So there's that 64.91 level. Here's your 1 hour 80-20. We've got an 80-20 zone with a higher time frame level of support. Can we break trend line and start to move higher? Okay. Now we know we saw on that daily chart that we've never gotten a daily 382, that it would have to move a long way. This has been, we've been following this one, seemed like forever, right? This cash Swissy and that move. But it gains some momentum, then it moves back down. You can see it's just range bound. So we're at the bottom of the range again. So the question is, do we break and get another correction to the upside? So that's the cash Swiss. That's what we're looking for right now. Any questions on the cash Swissy? No?
No.
All righty. Let's check in on our euros. Take a look at the CAD yen. You guys know what we've been looking for on that one for the most part, but let's look at it. All right. We are still trying to hit that 900 pip target. All right. We got the oil price bouncing around. And we've got retail sales for the CAD coming up. The yen, nothing's really changed, right? We saw inflation move to the lowest since, I forget what the article said. Japan inflation rate lowest in a year, right? So we definitely don't look to see, when we get data like that, we're not looking for any changes in Bank of Japan monetary policy. So eventually we want to see this momentum continue and move, right? We know that the yen can also strengthen as a safe haven as well, but it seems like the Swissy and the dollar has been playing the safe haven more so than the yen. Here we are. Let's go down to the one, take a look at it. And right, we didn't get the deepest swing as I would like to see, but almost a 50%, and we're trying to get back above that 109.46. So if we get above, we stay above that target and close, right? We take out this high going into next week. Just continue to look for higher highs and higher lows on that CAD yen. We may not get that deep pullback, but you never know. So let's wait and see. If you're still holding that trade long, keep holding it long. So that's the CAD yen. We did the CAD Swiss. We're going to these euros. I want to take a quick look at this Euro Aussie. Don't know if some of you are still holding that trade, but look at what's going on, everybody, how this plays out. Right? So we've had this trend line drawn for a long time. We said on this weekly chart, Rand spotted this ages ago. He said, man, we might get to this 382 on the weekly. That's where it may be headed. We played this correction on the lower time frames down. Everybody remembers that monster 80-20 move. And then we stalled, right, at 163.34 and up against that trend line. And we've been pushing bullish ever since. This has been a really nice move. So here we are. Now we're coming into daily and monthly levels, but look at that swing, right, off that 61.8. Right? And that trend line. Look at that, just zooming in. So here we are, right, on the Euro Aussie 4 hour. And there's that D extension right there at that level. So definitely could see some type of reaction there. Okay. But we still want to get to that weekly 382. Okay. That's that line there at 174.69. So far, so good. That's all we can do is draw it up and run the play, everybody. That's it. The rest of it we don't control. Right. So look at this this swing on the one. Look at that. That's good. That's good. All right. So we've got a 50% and we're moving up. We got to get through these levels to get to that D extension. But hey, guess what? If you're not involved in it, you don't have to have that fear and jump in it now. Because we know at some point, if we get to that D extension, it'll reset. If this plays out, it'll reset. I always use if then, right? Because we don't control the market. If that plays out, it'll form a new AB boundary. And guess what? We'll get another opportunity to find, you know, an area where we could jump in. It still has a long way to go to get there. Right? So that's the Euro Aussie moving long. All right. Any questions on the Euro Aussie? All right. And just know everybody, right? All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. Just know everybody, right? If you've been sitting back, right, for months and months and months, and you're looking at these setups and you're like, man, I didn't get in it, or why did I get out of it? Guys, just understand that that's just the natural progression of becoming a pro trader. Like you're on, I know a lot of times you probably guys think I'm not on the right track. If you're hanging there, you're on the right track. Right? If you go back through your charts like I do at times and you're like, man, I had that drawn up perfectly. That means you're making progress. I had that drawn up perfectly. I just psychologically, I just didn't stay involved with it. Look, no, everybody's going through it. Okay. Everybody's going through that. That part doesn't happen overnight. Right? You'll learn these technicals a lot faster than you, and you'll master the technicals and even the fundamentals a lot faster than that psychological piece. Right? Because it goes back to what? Ultimately, having confidence in yourself. And a lot of people, right, including myself, right, have struggled with that. Having confidence in yourself, right? And a lot of times that's why people go for the trade signals and things like that is because ultimately, and sometimes we don't want to come to that conclusion, right? Is really because we don't have the confidence in ourselves. And then when we really sit down and we think about it, it's happening in a lot of other areas in our life, not just trading, right? Where we're not executing at a high level. Maybe it's at work, maybe it's at home, maybe it's with a business idea, we're not executing at a high level because we don't have the confidence. We haven't quite gotten that swag yet and that bravado and that ultimate belief in ourself, right? It's not arrogance, right? To believe in yourself, okay? But that's what we have to work on. I know because I've been through it. Right? I've been through it. And that's always a work in progress. Always a work in progress. So just know that it's not just you, right? It's human nature. And a lot of times it really exposes itself when you're doing something like trading, when it's you against the market, right? It appears to be you against the market, should I say, but it's really you versus you. Okay. So just keep that in mind. So if you've gone all year and it's been up and down, keep at it. Keep at it, right? You got to keep at it. And you'll get there. All right. Yep. You said analysis paralysis for sure. So that's the Euro Aussie. So let's go into another Swissy pair. Right? Oh, you're welcome, Yasina. I need to hear this sometimes, right? I am an Audible geek. I have an Audible app, so I'm constantly with them. I'm not cutting grass now in the fall, but in the summer when I'm cutting grass, in the fall, should I say, raking leaves and doing things around the house. I constantly have that positive vibe in my ear because you need it. You need it. So, so let's look at this Euro Swissy. Okay. Moving right back down to this level. Okay, and that's a low. See, if we zoom out, look at that. Okay, it keeps wanting to test that low, 93.94 level. All right, check it out. Okay, check it out. Look at the swing. So here we are. So we know we ultimately have a D extension coming, potentially. But always wonder when we hit those higher time frame lows, right? A country's not gonna let that currency run too low, right? Not gonna let it get too high, right? So can we get a reaction, right? So if we look here, look at what we've got. We got a pull back and a move down. Now we've got a potential. This is on the 4. We got a potential setup brewing because we haven't gotten a 38.2 yet. Okay, same rules, nothing's changing. So if we can get this pushed down, here's that solid black line I have is that major low. So we zoom out, that's an area where there's a potential double bottom coming in there. Okay, that's pretty low. So what we want to do is see if price can sink into that level, right into our 80-20 zone. And if we hold up now, be patient with it, look for additional confirmation, right? And see, right, whether you're using trend line breaker to cloud, and see if we can get a reaction off that low if we get there, right? If we get a reaction positive off that low, see if we can push long, all right? So that's the Euro Swiss. So that's the third Swissy pair now, right? That we've looked at where it seems like we're coming into some major lows and we've got some good confluence with 80-20 zones. So just keep an eye on that. Here, right, we had drawn this up coming out of the ritual. And you can see where that D extension is at, right? You can see where that D extension is at. Look at the U-turn. Look, 61.8 down, right? So with the trend, hey, we've got Swissy strength. We can look to get short. Okay. 46, call it 50 pips. If we come down to this level, 133, the extension is 144. So that puts us in this 80-20 zone, right? So see if we can get that pushed down in that completion. So you can make it work all over the charts, right? You see how we had that drawn up, our lines, they're drawn up for a short on that play. So you can see ABCD wave. Okay, that's all, right? When you get rid of everything else and you gain some clarity, you just notice it's all about that ABCD wave. Okay? It's all about it, whether it's harmonic patterns, whatever other stuff is out there, it's all about that ABCD wave. Even if it says like, hey, you know, I just trade support and resistance, I use naked charts, it's still all, hey, I look for pullbacks to structure, right? It's all within what we teach everybody, okay? It's all within what we teach. It's all built in, okay? It's all built in. This is, hey, I've got to pull back the structure. Well, guess what? That's an ABCD wave. That pull back the structure is your C. And now we're moving to the D. Except for we know with the FIB, because of the way the math plays out, we know that a pullback to a 61.8 gives us a projection of a 1.618. So because we know that, we're not so fast to leave money on the table and say, hey, I'm just going to short to the next support level, right? Because you're out there and you still have a ways to go. That's the difference. Yep. All about that ABCD wave. So that's the Euro Swissy. The main setup that we're looking at now is, can price start to slow down that momentum to the downside, and can we get a reversal? Okay. And again, if you're trading with the trend and you're looking for further declines, you need this high price anyway. See how it all just makes sense? You need this to move to a high price anyway so you can short. All right. So that's the 4 hour. I want to take a look at, so that's another setup there. Aussie Swiss, CAD Swiss, Euro Swiss. Do you need all of them? No, you don't. Depends on your trade plan and what your goals are. Okay, it's our job to point them out. Euro GBP. Joy, you still holding this long? I hope so.
Yep.
I know you were planning this. That's why I called you out, because I know you you were planning this. Yeah, you were planning this. For those of you who joined us a little bit later, my apologies. You guys have control of your mic now. I'm running the lesson and moderating today. Ryan is out of town on a trip, well-deserved trip. So you guys have control of your mic. So my apologies, I missed you guys on that. Pips machines. Yep. That's it, right? And again, the reason why we teach it this way, right, is because now you all can trade without having to put so much risk on the table to try to pick money with a small account, if you have a small account. Because now you know I could just collect pips. Look at the 61.8 move there, right? So if I've got a 61.8, okay, my stop's below the A. You can call it 60 pips if you want, but that D extension is 160 pips away. Okay. So you're almost a 3-to-1 there, right? And then we know you get an even greater risk to reward if you decide to put your stop below the C. Right? This is my C. So look, right? A, B, C, D. Okay. You got to project at 1.618 D extension. Don't know how it's going to get there or how long it's going to take to get there. Right? But we know that if it plays out and the math is right with that fib sequence, that's our extension. Okay. So we'll get there, and we're going to get there together. Right? So yes, I'm trading that with a small account, 1 micro, right? But listen, if you take that, okay, 155 pips, right? 160 pips, right? That's 16 bucks at 1 micro. But guess what? You didn't work for it, right? You turned a dime, right? That most people's crazy, but most people a lot of times drop a dime on the ground and leave it these days. But guess what? You just flipped that to 16 bucks. right? It's a beautiful skill. It's a beautiful skill, right? So look, we're long. We zoom out here. We're long on the one. Look at that. Right? Same thing. The market is fractal. A, B, C, D. See, I'm not worried about all the noise. This is what I'm focused on. Okay. Of course, you could go down to your lower time frames, and once this chart, gets moving in your direction, that C to D push, yeah, you could go down to your 15. You could go down to your 5, and you could say, hey, I want to trade smaller C to D waves, right? So here on the one, you can even look and see if we can catch it. See that? A, B, C, D, right? A, B, C, D. A, B, C, D. See that? It's a sub-fib 80-20. Okay. So if this is all going to play out, okay, we need to that's it, everybody. This is the game, right? A, B, C, D. Right? A, B, C, D. A, B, C, D. Our C becomes our new A. Our D becomes our new B. And it starts all over again. Fascinates me to this day. All right. And then there's your major wave there. Okay. Multiple ways you can skin a cat. All right. That's the Euro GBP. Any question?
No.
All right. It did just push up, Joy. It takes time. It takes time, right? So EJ, right? This one's grinding, right? But we're long, right? We're still long overall for the most part against the yen crosses, right? It's been all over the place. And the reason why a lot of these are struggling now is because, they're not moving as fast as this. You're getting to some pretty high prices, right? So a lot of times, right, people start to back off a bit. Hold on. Lost my fibs, everybody. That's okay, because we're going to use the old trusty smart scan. So there we go. So this is the current fib sequence here. Let me go back and because I don't need all of this. So I'll go back and find start it. Just right here. There. I could take these off. I thought I don't know why they're off, but here. So this is what I mean by we don't know how it's going to get there. And what I mean by that is the type of price action, right, that occurs, whether it's an immediate, move like this, that we get the nice clean, levels. I don't know what just happened there, but Forex is going to do something like it's doing right now. But at the end of the day, right, it's still within that structure, right? 50% pullback, that's up against the weekly, right? We want to pay real close attention when we get trades to pull back in our buy zone or our sell zone. And we've got, look, there's a past B boundary, okay, level of resistance. That's a weekly level, this blue line, right? Our weekly levels are marked in blue. Look at the reaction that it got, right? So you can see what people are paying attention to. Those higher time frame levels, this gave us good confluence, and now we're pushing long. So we're saying, hey, over time, this is going to move to that 1.618 extension, right? Because we got red to red. We've got a 50% pullback projection. Enough momentum can occur to where buyers push that price up to that 165.17. How long it's going to take? I don't know. I really don't care. I just wanted to move in my direction. On the swing. I just wanted to swing my way. That's all. That's all. Okay. That's Euro JPY. We're still pushing long, right? So we're looking for pullbacks and continuations on that. All right. Quite a ways. Any questions on the EJ? No. Good. All righty. So let's look at this Euro NZD. Okay. Now think about what was happening with that Aussie NZD, right? We know that Euro NZD, that NZD has been weak, right? And we can see here off the weekly. Look at that. Past resistance becoming future support in that zone. We got a nice push. So we know that this is bullish. So we've looked at all these Euro pairs now. One thing we can say is that Euro has been strong, right? As of late. So look, we are long, right? We've got a 382 pullback and we are pushing long. We've got 182.53 resistance coming out. Okay. We got a stochastic that's 98% as we come into daily resistance. So we may see a reaction. So how does that play out? Well, if we come down to the 4, remember we talk about it, right? Enter the outer trend line breaks. Enter to outer trend line breaks. Ooh, look at that off that 61.8. And we've got what? Higher time frame structure. Higher time frame structure. So eventually, okay, based off of where we're at, 61.8, we projected 1.618 D extension. Is it going to correct and move back down? Yes, it will. Okay. But eventually, for the long swing, we want to see it continue to move up. Now, we're coming into this 182.53. Now, this has moved. This has exploded off the low. Over 600 pips. Okay. At some point, it's going to pull back. So when we come down here to the 1, we start to entertain that, right? Enter the outer trend line break. Okay. Okay. When you frame it out, right, the way we teach it, the charts don't seem so scary anymore. Because you realize that no matter what the pair, it's doing the same thing. Maybe doing it at a different speed, but it's doing the same thing. So what we want to entertain is right now on this 1 hour, we've got a shallow retracement. What do we mean by that? That's less than a 382. Shallow retracement equals less than a 38.2. Okay. So, and we'll say pullback, less than a 382 pullback. Okay. There. We don't have a 382, right? So for the counter trend move and the correction, we use that as our TP1. We're bouncing off this 236. Here's our 80-20 zone. Right above that, we've got that daily 182.53. So coming down from the higher time frames, we have to wonder, when it gets to this level, will we see a loss of momentum? Will this represent a high price where sellers want to let go? All right. So what we do is we're just going to let this ride up into this zone. I'm not going to buy this now. Right? I don't want to buy it now. I'm already long. I don't want to buy. I don't want to add to a buy position. Okay. So if you're with the trend, you want to see it push up and move back down so you can add to your position and get long. If you're counter trend trading this move here, then you want to let it push up test at 182.53 if we can get there. Stops at that D extension for this active fib and see if we get the correction back down. Any questions on the Euro NZD?
No.
All righty. Since you need to wake up and start snoozing all the moves. It's all good. It's all good. So that's the Euro NZD. So let's take a look at this Euro USD forever trade. All right. Let's see where we are. We're just going to check in, check the status, right? So we know, right? We've got that DXY bouncing around. The Euro USD is going to do the same thing in the opposite direction, right? So here we are, but we're starting to creep in and get some momentum. But you see how we haven't hit that extension yet? So your trade is still active. Okay? If you're using a 4-hour chart and you're bearish on the Euro USD, you needed to move to your high price. I can't say that enough. Right? So that's where we are. So we're still range bound on the Euro USD. Any questions on that? No? All right. Okay, so that's that on the euros. I want to check out a couple of the pound pairs. I know we're a little bit over time, and then we'll wrap it up. So I probably won't get through all of them. Pound CAD. Okay. So we know overall that 4-hour play. Okay, short. Right, we're holding up right here at this 165.98 level. We've broken back above it, but we're playing as a short off that double top. We've got a trend line break. So here, right, we had it drawn up on a 1 for the short. We were looking coming out of the weekend for that pullback. We got it, right? So if you're shorting that now, right, you should be back in profit off the 61.8, but we're having some challenges here at that 165. If we break below that, then we look for a continuation to the downside. Any questions on that pound CAD? Keep in mind, we've got data coming up at 8:30, retail sales, I believe, for Canada. Yes, retail sales. See if that impacts it on a Friday. All right. So of course, right, we've been heavy on the Swissy. We might as well take a look at the pound Swiss and see. So we know it's been bearish. Look at that, right? Look at that break. Here's our daily. No matter what the time frame, okay? No matter what the time frame, A, B, C, right? You see how we're moving down. So we've got an A6 pullback here. Can we get to that 1.18 extension? That's a long ways away on the daily, okay? Now, we had this 1-hour scenario here. Some of you might have taken it. It didn't pull back to my area where I have my limit, so I missed this. Hey, bummer. Right? So turned over just shy of that 110 level, and we went. So we had the direction right. So that's like almost 200 pips to the downside. Well, a little shy of 200 because we turned over prior to that level. Right, but we hit a D extension. We got a new AB boundary, and you guys can see we're at a 118 there. So that's an 80-20 zone that we're in. Look here on the 4, we're right on the money. Okay. So do we get this correction? So this is another one. Okay. Sitting right at a 127. 4-hour stochastics in the buy zone. Whether you drop down to the lower time frames or not, look for additional confirmation, draw your trend lines, see if you can get breaks long. Okay. So any questions on that pound Swiss?
No.
All right. GJ. This one here, looking at that higher time frame, we're saying, hey, this is kind of, all right, We look at it here. We're right at the edge of that 80-20 zone, hit that 118. We got a reaction, and we're like, you know what? This is on a downward trajectory. Okay. We never got a 382 on that daily fib. We come into our 4. All right, we're kind of moving sideways now, but hey, we spot it. Look at that again, higher time frame structure. Okay. In line, right, with our sell zone. Trend line break is short, right? So we came back through and we said, hey, if you missed that initial short, okay, if you missed that initial short, you may get an opportunity on this one if it pulls back. It did pull pretty high. So this original setup, I think, was like 203 off the 61.8, but it pushed higher. We got an 8.6 triple top, an 8.6. So we had to adjust our TP level to 180.84. So you're looking at 146 now, if we can get a continuation on this 1 hour fib. Any questions on the GJ? That one's bouncing around a bit, right? We wonder how that was going to play out when we got that sudden move, right? This move right here, right? That boom, push down, and then we went, hey, it's going to recover and move up, but it held within our AB boundary. It tried to break out of it, right? 3 times, right? And now we're kind of just range bound, but let's see if we can get it to hit that TP. All right. And let's take a look at this pound dollar. No, we've been bearish. Okay. Moving down, we'll jump right into the 4. That's beautiful. Weekly and daily structure in our sweet spot. That's a short. Okay. That's a short. So we come down to our 1. And we didn't get it, right? We didn't get that pullback to that level, but we're stalling, right? This is a level right here that's struggling. Look at that across the board here. I don't know if we'll get a push higher. It's all going to depend on what that dollar wants to do. We know it's not going to come from that pound, but this is getting close, right? So we'd rather see a turnover at that point. So I'm bummed out on that one. We didn't get the pullback, but it still moved in our direction. So that's the pound dollar. Any questions on the pound dollar?
No.
All right. And I want to take a look at the NZD Swissy. We'll wrap things up. Also, too, if you haven't looked at the Discord, Reese put a gold 80, 20, 30 minute. Make sure you all check that out. Okay, check that setup out as well. I wanted to cover it today, but I won't have time to get to it. So appreciate you doing that, Reese. And if you guys have ideas, post them in the group. Let's take a look at them. Let's analyze them. Let's get better, right? So this NZD Swiss, of course, right? This is a kind of an ultimate play here where you had a strong Swissy, weak New Zealand dollar. So you see there's no wave. There's just straight down, right? But we're coming to the lows now. We had this one drawn up here. Just another one that just missed, right? I haven't been around my computer as much as I wanted to be, but didn't get me in. But you can see it gave us what we wanted, right? So all 128 pips and then some. But what I want everybody to take a look at here is that we've overextended, right? So here's this ABCD wave. Okay. Here's this ABCD tool. You can see the wave. Boom, we hit the extension, we're overextended. Here's the lows, right? That 51.87, that solid black line, that's super low, right? So this here, I can move this out now. I just move it here. And what we're looking for is a 382 and a 61.8. Okay. So look for that. So I'll draw that up and put that in the chat, right? So that's an 80-20 buy side potentially. And that is all I have. I know we covered a lot, but a lot of good setups coming around. All right. So that is it. This Saturday, right? I'll know by this afternoon. We may not have a weekly ritual, but I'll go through the rest of the charts and mark the setups if we have the ones that we didn't cover. Because Ryan is out of town enjoying his vacation. My son has a playoff game this weekend, and we don't know. It's kind of like a to be determined. We don't know the exact time yet of the game, so we may be canceling that session. But we'll send out a notification for it. So I just wanted to give everybody a heads up on that. Super busy weekend. So that's that, everybody. I appreciate you all. Thank you, Carolyn. I appreciate it. Everybody, enjoy the rest of your Friday. Make sure you take a look at your charts, check the price action out. Retail sales at 8:30 for Canada. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for being here.
Have a great
Thank
day.
Thank you, Betty.
You're welcome.